Welcome to Synchronicity. I'm back this week with a regular episode. Been planning this one for a little bit. Where'd my notes go? There they are. It's going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about pain and suffering. Everyone's favorite topics, because who doesn't love some pain and suffering? We're going to talk about how you actually can dictate your relationship to those two things, which seems so consuming when they happen. Like, think of you get like a paper cut or something, right? Like, you're not going to focus on that. But that's one of the beauties of pain and suffering, is that they're acute states of consciousness that we can really gain insight from if we know how to use them. Anyway, we're going to get to all that. So this is going to be a fun episode about pain and suffering. What could be better than that? We're also going to talk some Neville Goddardisms, because that's fun. I have my tweets ready that I've culled and pulled together. Cold? Is that right? Yeah, I guess. Pulled together over the past few weeks. Also, I want to talk about Westworld. Have you guys been watching the latest season of Westworld? Hopefully, you're not the type of person who started watching it and then said the second season wasn't that good, so you stopped watching it. That was like a test. It's like a corona test. Are you gonna succumb to the fear and horror and fucking decay, or are you gonna fucking see it for what it actually is, which is just a thing that gets us a lesson to show us stuff? If you jumped off ship on Westworld, I didn't, because I thought it was great last season. Season 3. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll try to be tactful and deft in how I speak about it. But man, I saw previous Sunday's episode last night. It was called The Genre, and one of the characters, Aaron Paul, is now in the show from Breaking Bad. He takes this, he gets given this drug unintentionally, like he doesn't want it, but this guy slams it in his neck, and he basically takes this drug. I think it was called Johnny or something, or Genre, is that what it's called? Basically, the drug makes it feel like reality, feel like different movies, different genres. And there's this amazing scene where kind of this whole system that has been keeping the world propped up, basically from the control of one or a very small oligarchy of people, starts to break down, and all the information about people's lives is released to them. And everyone's like, the world goes into chaos and pandemonium. And there's a point where Aaron Paul what does he say? He says, "What genre is this?" Because he's on this drug, and he's like, "What is it?" And this dude looks at him. He goes, "Man, this is reality, man." And it's the best drug, isn't it? I really do think that this planet, this incarnation, this dimension is like, there's these higher dimensional beings, right? We're up there in fucking 9D, 10D, 11D, 12D, and we're sitting around, hanging out, having a good time. I like that, sitting around. Probably not what we're doing. Floating around, that seems more accurate. Floating around, telepathically communicating to each other. And then someone's like, "Hey, man, I just got this great new drug. It's called Being a Human. You want to try it?" And they're like, "I don't know, man. That shit looks pretty fucking gnarly. It looks like you can get hurt. Looks like you might even, you might think that you're not immortal." It's like, "I don't know, man. I heard it's really good." I don't know why I've given the infinite being who has the drugs a stoner voice. But anyway, they fucking have this bag of human drugs, and they fucking rip it in a bong, and they fucking black out, and all the ethereal beings around them are like, "Oh man, he's fucking blacked out. This shit he's fucking doesn't look good." And it probably only lasts in eternal being time, like, I don't know, like 5 seconds, 5 eternal seconds, 5 God seconds, whatever that is. But what actually happens when someone rips that bong is they incarnate into a human body, right? They go down from infinite, limitless, nothingness, void, eternal everything, in through incarnations, dimensions, and eventually they get to physical space, and then they get into the human space, and they go through the birth canal, and they emerge, and like, oh shit, and they forget everything. Kids now seem to have a little more access to it, but they forget a lot of things, and they come in, they're like, "Oh fuck, what the fuck is this? I'm a human being. There's all these rules. What's going on?" And that's kind of like what we're doing. So like, what genre is this? This is what I've been thinking, like, what movie did we walk into, right? Well, for real, like, we were in the pandemic movie for the past, I don't know, month or two. It was real. It was like a horror, fucking The Purge type movie. I don't watch those things, but I guess in real life it's not so bad. And although the purge would be bad if that was actually a thing, but we're going through like a metaphysical purge. And now we're kind of like, I think we're feeling like we're a little bit past the halfway point where they build up the tension in whatever genre it is. And we can kind of see where it's going, but maybe it's a really good movie. So we're not really sure. And this is what's going on. And this is why I think I've been loving Westworld so much is the writers, as they've kind of freed themselves from the park, the Westworld and isolated kind of dome of existence there. Both the hosts, the artificial intelligence, not even artificial though, right? The hosts and the humans now are all in the real world. The hosts. If you haven't seen this, just start fucking watching Westworld. What's the matter with you? Now the writers, in a very meta way, are adapting with the show and just like they're taking the shackles off and this meta commentary on the society we live in, the forces at play, allowing in both light and dark. Like it's just really elegant. They're doing it in a fucking great way. And as a metaphor for what we are doing with this dance of existence and being human beings, I think it's spot the fuck on. So anyway, I want to talk about Westworld. It's a different vibe than Tiger King, which I was watching last week, which is also amazing. And I have the woke up this morning with the sunshine in my eyes. Joe Exotic actually has a few good songs. I mean, can't hate. All right, so let's talk about. Should we start with pain and suffering? Yeah, let's start. I mean, I'm probably going to name the episode that, so we'll start with that. Pain and suffering. Let's talk about pain, right? Which is a form of suffering, right? Pain is definitely a form of suffering. You could even say like an itch is a form of suffering. It's something that not needs to be, but calls our attention to something that happens or we should do, right? And that's exactly what pain is as well. Pain is always trying to show us something. And also just a very clear function of pain, whether you believe this or not, it's true. Sometimes you feel pain so you can appreciate the absence of pain. The easiest way to think of this is, let's say you've been sick, you had a cold, or let's say you broke an arm and you can't do certain movements or broke your foot or something, so you can't walk the same. The amount of joy and gratitude you experience when you get better or you can walk again or you can do the things you couldn't do before again is one of the best feelings in life. It's undeniable. It's this deep sense of appreciation and gratitude and just it's like relief. It's all those things, and that is built up by tension. And pain, just to be clear, is just one of the ways that we can get that tension built up to release it. I've spoken about this before, like comedy, right? Music, you can build up energetically. This is why not everyone, but people love the drop so much in EDM, which is, I'm not going to make a value judgment. I'm not going to judge. It's a reliable and replicable way of making people feel emotion. It may be a little one shot, for the discerning listener all the time, but it's because it's this way of building up tension and then releasing it. And that really is the dance we're doing here. That's what life is. Life and death are the same thing. It's just they're interwoven. Life is this building up of tension inside all these little microwaves, but this big wave of life, this crest of life, and then death, right? It's just the tension and release. And if you think of things like that, it gives you a better idea of what suffering is and pain. So pain and fear tunnels exist to show you what gratitude and fun feel like, right? So again, pain, the absence of pain once you've experienced it, is you're grateful for that, right? Fear tunnels is when we get caught in these narratives in our minds related to external situations or maybe completely fabricated in our minds. And when I say fabricated, I don't mean falsified. I mean like made. They're made in our minds. External reality is just going to reflect that, but if you don't let it get to that point, it just stays in your mind. It can be equally as torturous if you don't know what to do with it. So those fear tunnels, and I'm picking up this term from Lacey. I heard her mention it in the podcast we just did, and I love it because that's what it feels like when you're stuck in this shit. It's like you can't get out. You're in this tunnel. You're underground. You're fucking all that you see around you is this fear. And the truth is that's just your perception. And I understand it can be hard to pull out of that at times and certainly can feel that you're in the grips of fear. But if you can kind of ride that wave, just at the very least, remember that everything is to your advantage. That's my tried and true go back to thing. I don't actually I've been to the spots and places where you're so acutely in something. This was jealousy for me in the past. Like like you can't, your mind just kind of defaults back to it, and you can't like sit down and do an imaginal technique, or even just stuff that would reliably get you to the place you want isn't working. If you can just maintain the feeling and the knowingness that everything is to your advantage, that's really helpful. But anyway, you can have fun with these states. You can judo flip, you can aikido flip, right? You can toss fear and use it to your advantage. You can toss pain even and use it to your advantage. Also, let me try to say this as clearly as possible. When you really start transmuting pain quickly and effectively and instantly, let's say you have a body pain, like a pain in your knee. When you can quickly, this happened to me the other day in my hip. It was so stiff. I had thought it was from a certain exercise I was doing, or I was lifting and moving a bunch of stuff and putting things together when I was moving into my new place. And I was like, oh man. And I was so sure it was physical, but it wasn't. I went through an experience, and a person helped me guide me through, what this was actually related to, which was my divorce and my kids and my wife and all of these things. And as I acknowledged them and stepped into the role of who I actually was, stop playing into other people's narratives, but actually knowing who I was on a deep, deep level, I fell asleep. It was so bad, and I had never experienced this, and I was commenting on it. It was so bad, this pain in my hip. It was like my hip, my lower back area, that I legitimately couldn't get comfortable in any position, not sitting, not laying on my side, not laying on my stomach, not laying on my back, not standing, not walking. It was insane. There was no relief. So talk about a fear tunnel or a pain tunnel. Like, I was trapped in it. But I did this. I stepped into the role of who I needed to be, which was, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is good for everyone, even if it creates short-term kind of friction, and just, other people are catching some of the pain and suffering. But then their lesson is embedded in that too. And I recognized this. I went to sleep and I woke up, and my pain had diminished like 90%. And I was like, oh my God, this is not physical. Like the same movements, they wouldn't make the same pain. And then throughout the day, I just accepted that it was gone, and that these are kind of the shadows or echoes of what was kind of a psychic pain manifesting as physical pain, which is all physical pain is always. So this is encouraging, because it went away completely within 12 hours, 24 hours at the most. And for me, this is something that I know in the past I would have solidified this pain as something that I did from moving. I would have tried to, alleviate it with massages or baths or whatever. And I tried all that stuff the day before, and it worked temporarily, but I know that I would have been in the grips of this pain for so fucking long that it wouldn't have been productive. To be able to see that this physical pain could dissipate so quickly. I think this is one of the great parts about having a body and going through physical stuff, is we can alleviate such acute, like a virus even, right? Like if you had a virus and then you beat it, or like you do something, you have cancer and you beat it through natural medicines or whatever it is that is, pretty unbelievable or miraculous, that solidifies something very deep in your being. And what that's solidifying is this knowingness and this realization that you are everything. Your sense of I am, who you are, all of the entire everything outside of you exists inside of your head. We're projecting it out like really cool movie screens, film reels, and it's very convincing and it's very effective. But if you understand inside your mind, your imagination, whatever you want to call it, your consciousness, your I am, that's the only real thing. This outside world is not as real as it seems. I'll point this out because I know some people can misinterpret this and feel that it's reckless. That doesn't mean you don't operate in this world as well. We've chosen to incarnate here to experience certain things, and you want to go through those things to really make sure you get the lessons and the experience you want, right? You did the drug of being a human being on Earth for a reason. You can't skirt that. And if you do try to skirt it by kind of getting out of this world through something like suicide or not honoring who you're supposed to be, just suicide can be a long, slow death. A life can be a suicide in the sense that you're not doing what you feel you should be doing. That's a pretty terrible one, too. But you'll be knocked back into a dimension much like this one. It almost looks exactly the same until you wake up and get that this is actually what's going on. And this is the script that you're running, and you're in charge of it. You're the producer, writer, director, and actor. Okay. Have you realized adverse conditions are incredibly kind yet? This is something I lifted from Milarepa. I'm going back to the book. I'm on the 100,000 song verses of Milarepa. I think I'm on the offering of the Pigeon Goddess Girl, which is just what a chapter. And he's basically explaining to these Devis, these um, divine female beings, that, listen, when bad shit happens, when you recognize bad shit, right? Um, oh, I'm getting a text. When bad shit happens, you can basically use that to your advantage to see that this is an amazing opportunity. And you don't want to like purposely welcome in shitty situations like consciously to make this happen, but like stuff is going to happen. There are ebbs and flows in life. And when you can realize that, you can enjoy um, feeling and harmony to the maximum, and you can still experience kind of the dark shadow aspects, pain and suffering, but that you get to determine where on the spectrum you would like to be and when. This sounds blasphemous. I just want to be clear. I know it sounds blasphemous. I know it sounds like Noah is saying you can be happy whenever you want all of the time. And I am saying that. I'm not saying that will be your direct experience, but that certainly is on the spectrum of possibility. And I would say for all the shit that's been going on in my life, just some really heavy shit. Um, it's a choice. It's a fucking choice on how you want to feel. I know it sounds wrong, and I know it can feel that's not true because I don't want to say be conditioned, but we've allowed ourselves to believe that that is not how things work. That's all. We just allowed ourselves to believe it. Allow yourself to believe something else. That's really all it is. So adverse conditions, things that are seemingly incongruent or disharmonious, those are incredibly kind opportunities for us. And don't shy away. Don't run away. Go into them to try to understand the lesson. And this is the beauty of pain. Pain is there. Also, if you're like a clairsentient, if you can actually feel in your body things that are going on, that's also a tool, right? So I remember this podcast I did with Jonathan Faust, and he was saying that he once got this really intense pain in his back, and it was so overwhelming. He didn't know how to deal with it. And he started to realize over time that this was a representation of him being betrayed and kind of psychically stabbed in the back by someone he was working with who kind of like did him dirty. It's funny how these aphorisms or these turns of phrases, pain in the ass, whatever these things, they can actually manifest as, physical emanations of psychic issues. So that's really important to remember. Pain isn't just this random thing that happens to you. You didn't just stub your toe by accident. Like there are always messages embedded deeply in this. This is like if we were watching a movie and we knew it was a movie on a screen and we knew that the character was going through some emotionally difficult circumstances, right? And then there was this quick frame in of them stubbing their toe. We would know that that has some significance. That's one of the beauties of film and art is they can kind of hyper focus onto these moments to show us something because we're so clued in. Do it with yourself. This is a movie. It really is. I know that sounds crazy. It probably doesn't sound crazy at this point. It's a fucking movie. All right. It's fucking, why don't you start writing it? Why don't you start producing, writing, directing, and acting in it? You're already acting in it. You don't have a choice. You're here. You've made that choice already. I shouldn't say you don't have a choice. Okay. Should we do Neville Goddardisms? No, let's go stick with the observations and the tweets. So that's pain and suffering. I spent, a good 10 minutes on it. That's all the time we're giving to pain and suffering. Laughter, music, art, food, relationships, that stuff should be propellant and the tension that you can use to propel yourself upward. It doesn't have to be fear and suffering, but there is, of course, value to it. Denying the value of pain and suffering is strengthening it. When you deny the value of anything, you strengthen it. When you let's just use everyone's fucking most hated example. When you deny the value of Trump, the shit that he does, whether it's something that helps you form an opinion about what you'd like to change or do, when you deny the value of that, you strengthen that energy. That's condemnation. It's judgment. That's what that is, denying the value of something. Don't deny anyone's value. Don't deny anything's value. There's value to everything. Pain, suffering, everything. Okay. Even murder, right? Don't murder people, though. Jesus Christ. Okay. A ship isn't built to stay safely tied to the harbor. You are building an imaginal arc for yourself. You are building the core foundation. And when I say building, it's not really building. it's kind of like unveiling. It's kind of like this ship has always been built, and you're just like, have you seen Moana? Have I spoken about Moana enough? You know, when she goes into the secret cave and there's all these huge boats that are meant for sailing off the island, that's what you're doing, right? They were built there, and now you're revealing them, and then you go and sail out into the sea, and it's the best. And that's what we're doing here energetically. You're building such a solid foundation of who you are that this is going to be the vessel that carries you out into unknown territories, which is where we're going, because that's what this existence is. We don't know what's going on. There's always mystery here. It always is more mysterious and magical if you allow it to be. So just, strengthen your core. This means when things come up that kind of shake you, the waves get rocky, like you know what to do. Your vessel is strong. Your arc is strong. Okay. What role are you playing? Right? This goes back to this whole directing and acting and writing and producing. What role are you playing? What role do you determine that you will play in your life? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be for yourself? Other people will have you playing lots of different roles. Jessa talks about this a lot. By the way, go sign up for Jessa's Patreon. There should be a bonus episode out already or coming out soon that I just did with her. Get pretty candid on that. Some behind the scenes shit. So that was good. But what role are you playing, right? Are you playing someone else's role? Are they defining it for you? If someone says, let's flip this on its head. Let's say Bernie Sanders says, you are being oppressed. This is unfair. You're being oppressed. This is unfair. These 1%ers are, listen, objectively, totally right. Couldn't be more right. There seems to be systems in place that benefit the few at the expense of the many. But if you buy into that role and you go, holy shit, I'm oppressed. Oh, things are so hard for me. You're buying into someone else's role for you. If you go, oh, no, I'm just playing a character who's oppressed right now, but like a Robin Hood, I'm going to go figure out how to get all these resources and things and distribute them to other people. I'm just playing the con game here. I'm just saying, oh, yeah, I'm oppressed, sure, until you blow it all up and you make sure that, things are more equitable. That's a cooler role. So determine the role you want to play for yourself. It's okay if you found yourself in other people's roles and you shift into that. That's us psychically kind of merging and setting our boundaries related to other people. But really think about the role that you're playing in your life, in the movie of your life. What genre is this? Is it a comedy? Is it a horror film? Is it a romantic comedy? Is it a documentary? Is it a war movie? What are all the types of movies? I'm just going to name them all. I don't know. All the types of movies. Figure out what you want to be doing. Slapstick. I love my life so much. You should love your life so much. I'm getting all the texts. So that's what you should be doing. Just even if you're like, I don't like my life. I'm not attractive enough. I don't have enough money. Blah blah. Just be like, no. I'm writing these roles for myself, and watch what happens. People physically. Go look at. I don't have that many pictures up of me, but if you look at pictures of me from like a year and a half ago to now, I look like a totally different person. It's fucking crazy. Like, physically, you can change things. Psychically, you change them first. Imaginally, you just, imaginally go up. And, if people are wanting more techniques and things, I'll dish out a few that I discover and find. But go back to the original ones. They're just really good. It's just, these are ways of interfacing with our intuitive heart, our subconscious mind, which is the real generator of our experience here, not our conscious mind. But we can use them in tandem, the masculine energy of the conscious mind with the subconscious feminine energy of the intuitive heart. That bridge that we build there is the key to our success. Okay. Here we go. The gods are real because you make them real. This is true. Anyone who believes in astrology, anyone who believes in religion or God or myths or anything like that, it's real because you believe they're real. This is important as a reminder to not get too caught up in modalities like astrology. You can make your entire life astrology. That's not what I'm saying. But don't believe that it has any more power than the power that you give it, right? It's a stable imaginal act because people have been looking up at the stars in the skies forever, but that doesn't mean it's any more real than the power that you give it. That's super fucking important. Otherwise, you are externalizing stuff, whether it's energy, whether it's God, whether it's your own. Just remember that, okay? The gods are real because you make them real. Jupiter can be nice to you because that's possible. Energies like Saturn can be constrictive because you allow them to be. Don't fight too much against this stuff. They're stable imaginal acts. It's like you don't jump off a roof because you know that, your imagination creates reality and gravity is just a construct. Subconsciously, you are picking up on everyone else's and your own deep-seated belief that gravity is a thing. Soon we'll be levitating. I think like 10, 15 years, that sounds real. So just give it its time and place in linear time. Time doesn't exist. We know that. I spoke about that plenty of times. But yeah, the gods are real because you make them real. The stuff being cooked up behind the scenes, oh my God. I'm privy to all the stuff I'm doing behind the scenes. You're privy to all the stuff you're doing behind the scenes. I just see what people are cooking up and just like get ready for like a really, 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 really fucking awesome time. Like when we can commune again in person, we can commune again in person now if you want. Don't be crazy. Someone called me Typhoid Mary on Twitter because I said I don't wear a mask. Jesus fucking Christ. Guys, you gotta chill out. I'm not saying go and lick rails and fucking sneeze on people, but Jesus Christ. Okay. Grace is happening. Grace is love and action, and it's constantly around us. Around us. It's constantly around us. We live in it. Just allow that to happen. Accept it into your life and watch how you move with grace. This is what grace feels like. Infinite synchronicity is constantly conspiring to help you with whatever you intend to do. That's what grace is. Love and action. It's beautiful. Catch the wave. Today's episode of Earth should be pretty good. I love that I wrote all these things before I saw this Westworld episode. It's just a movie. It's a TV show. It's a series. Fucking you write it. Determine it. Widen your conception of reality. Don't get too focused on one narrow band. That can be very useful if you're doing something. This is maybe where I disagree a little bit with this mindfulness axiom of only focus on one thing all of the time. If you're doing this, don't multitask. Only do this one thing. Use your intention and focus to focus on this one thing. You are 82% more productive when you do that. I don't know if I totally believe that. I know there are certain aspects and things that focus and laser-like focus are incredibly helpful, right? To getting something done, especially, you're doing something, but having a wider conception of reality and broadening your awareness also gives you access to a multi-dimensional kind of basis for reality. And you can tie things together that maybe seem disparate and not connected, knowing that everything is connected and pull in different things. No, I'm not saying while I'm recording this podcast, I'm doing 10 different things, but I am paying attention to a few different things in my mind, on my phone, on the computer. So like, just don't challenge what you hear if it doesn't feel right. If someone writes something and you know that they're cool and you know that they're wise and you know they have wisdom, but it doesn't fully resonate with you, just use that as an opportunity to pass it through you and see what sticks and what doesn't. And don't feel like everything you hear, you have to adhere to, okay? What I mean by this is if you are someone who's accustomed to feeling lonely, sad, depressed, attached in an unhealthy way, codependent, murk yourself, bruh. Kill yourself, the version of yourself psychically that is doing that, and die into the state of that which you desire and feel the grip. You will literally feel pulled by the version of you that is how you want to feel. It's like, it almost is like you can feel stepping into a different version, or you move timelines. It's borderline a physical sensation. Inside of my mind when this happens, it feels like something is actually happening, like almost physically. So just die from your former state to that which you desire and feel the grip of your salvation. Oh, these texts. Oh my gosh. All right. Animals are cool. It's my tweets. God love you if you follow me on Twitter. All these things out of order with no context. Animals are cool. I think using them as totems. We did the How to Be an Animal episode. I'll revisit that because I think jumping into primal animal energy. Oh, I think I got this from Tiger King, because what was happening in Tiger King is you would see the spirit of these big cats. The people who were drawn to them acted like these tigers. If you look at tigers in the wild, we think of them as these beautiful, peaceful, or, just like majestic creatures. But like when food gets scarce and there's only so much resources to go around, they get vicious, right? And this is what was ending up happening in Tiger King. So it was very cool for me to see the spirit of the tiger, the spirit of these big cats kind of get injected into the people, them picking up on that and playing that out with their own lives, right? Very interesting stuff. Fucking Carol Baskin, Joe Exotic. What was the doofus's name with the guy with the wife and the tigers in Las Vegas? It was just great. It was a great show, by the way. But animals are cool, and you can choose like which ones you want to kind of merge with spirit. This is the totem animal thing, right? I'm not super big on, like, I don't know that much about the Native American stuff. Enough. I'm not enough, barely enough to know that how animal totems work, but you embody the spirit of the animal whose qualities you feel like they're you attach yourself to them energetically. You can do that with gods and deities as well, but animals, the other direction, no value judgment, low high, just is a very cool thing to do as well. Make a move, man. State your case from the Ween song, Tender Situation. Make a move. You got to make a move and state your case if there's something you want. You can't just sit idly by and just think it's going to fall into your lap. That's not what I'm saying with imagination creates reality. Make a move, even if it's just imaginally. Make a move, state your case. What do you want? How do you want to feel? Make that move. Super important, okay? Fine, sure. I guess I'll help build a new world based on love and harmony. How many of you feel like that? It's like, fine. Okay, I guess I signed up for this shit. It's cool. It's fun. It's fine. It's totally cool. It doesn't mean you're just a love and light, everything is great all the time type of person. I mean, everything is great all the time, but you focus on the stuff. You make dark jokes. Like, you got to be hip with it, right? You got to know that you can be someone helping to build the world on love and harmony, but still have, like, a cutting side to you that recognizes that this shit is also kind of like a game. And you don't want to be too lame about this shit. Don't be a lame-o. Ugh. Oh, everything is wonderful all of the time, and I shall only eat these foods and behave this way and associate with these people. Don't be that person. Ugh. Blarf. And that is a value judgment, I guess. But geez, I've been around too many. I've embodied those qualities. It doesn't feel authentic. Just be a full person, light and dark. It's worth it. It's working. But love and harmony is where we're skewing to. It's surreal. So the last 10 seconds of this podcast is a psychological snapshot of me. Okay. Hold the line, my friends. This was more when, like, the pandemic stuff, we were waking up in the reality and everyone was totally freaked all of the time. Cuomo screaming there, ventilators, they're all gonna die. Everyone's freaking out. Just hold the line. We're good. We're fucking good. Don't forget it. I know people close to me who have lost people in the virus too. All right? Personally, I know them. Okay? I'm not friends with those people, but I know they've lost loved ones in their family. I'm not demurring or saying this shit isn't happening, but just hold the line. Just hold the fucking vibe. Like, shit is good, okay? These people chose to die from the coronavirus long before coronavirus was known about, all right? For real. It can sound so like, you just like, you're not paying attention. I pay attention to this shit. I feel the pain and suffering, right? That's why I'm allowed to talk about this stuff. One of the things I realized about myself is I'm not allowed to. I know when I'm talking caca, and I made a decision for myself to not talk anymore caca. Oh, I don't know. A few years ago, no more caca talk. Only allowed to say truthful things, even if it's not pleasant. Only allowed to say truthful things. Make a deal with yourself to do that. That's a good idea, too. It's endlessly entertaining to me that the world caught up to how weird I am. Endlessly entertaining. This is so weird. It's hilarious to me that now I can just speak freely about everything, and now people are like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Amazing. It was not like this 20 years ago. Just want to be clear. Today, resolve to be the person you'd like to be. Just make a deal with yourself to be the person you know you're supposed to be. That's it. Just make a deal. Just be like, all right, I'm going to be that person. I'm ready. That's cool. All right. Deny any sensory input that appears to invalidate your assumption. If you assume yourself to be a wealthy, kind, generous, loving, compassionate, hilarious, sexy person, deny any sensory input that appears to invalidate that. That's it. Just your senses are cool. They're fine. They're great. But I'm telling you, like, they're not the best tools for understanding reality because they're based on looking at external things, and that's not the reality of the situation, which is you or God. How to do that in song form. Everything's on the inside. The external reality is merely a shadow. It's a dead world, as Neville Goddard would call it. Not in a scary way. It's just, it's already hardened. It's already crystallized. Today is the most magical day of my life, and that's saying something. Oh, let me talk about this. Okay. Last week, there were some, it was, as I mentioned, I'm getting a divorce. Me and my wife separated for 8 months or so. And, you know, we have two small children. It's been pretty gnarly. It's been pretty crazy at times. And a very crazy thing happened to me related to that hip pain I was talking about earlier. I made a decision that I wasn't doing anything wrong. I kind of looked like an asshole. If you looked at the facts of the situation, I probably am an asshole for doing what I did, but I knew it was right. And I stepped into the role where I actually, for real, knew it was the best decision. I knew it was intuitively, but I consciously stepped into it. And I saw my wife change her mind and perspective on a situation. It didn't take away her pain and suffering, right? It didn't take away her having to process what she needed to process, but I saw her step into the best version of herself, and it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And it was the most miraculous thing I've ever seen in my life. It was just truly, like, I was saying to people, like, someone could have offered me 10 trillion. They could have been like, no, you just won the lottery. And I'd be like, that's nothing. I don't give a shit. Like, I just saw the most miraculous thing I've ever seen. And when you see that, when you step into who you're supposed to be and you see how the people around you are changed, oh, so good. So fucking good. Miracles every fucking day. That's just the way we are over on this side. Miracles every fucking day. If you're on team fucking miracles every day, welcome. Do you remember when we dreamed this? We dreamed this so long ago, and now we're getting to play it out. And that's really fun, and I love that. Your ability to feel is your superpower. I've spoken about this. Use it wisely. Don't use it recklessly. Don't feel bad because it feels you don't have control of it. Feel the way you want to feel. Your ability to feel the pain and suffering of others is a wonderful superpower, but don't get caught up in it. Don't just live there because that's what you know how to do. Use it wisely. Your ability to feel both positive and quote unquote negative experiences, negative charge, maybe in the electron sense, and the, positive, what is it? Electrons, neutrons, and protons. There's charges to everything. Feel what you want to feel when you want to feel it and use it wisely, because this is how you summon forth reality, the future, as we would call it in linear time. This is how you do it. When you find truth, you'll recognize her, right? I say this not as a gender thing, but truth, she is divine and she'll reveal what she needs to reveal to you. This doesn't mean masculine energy doesn't have truth embedded in it. It just means that she's around these days. We call her Isis, we call her Kali, we call her mother, we call her daughter. She is amazing and she's around. All right, whenever Stevie Wonder is playing, you can rest assured you're in the right dimension. If you walk into a store and Stevie Wonder is playing, you're in the right dimension. That's just my clue to you, okay? Have you realized how to fly the plane of existence yet? Have you? The plane of existence, you get it there? Little word play. Fly the plane of existence. It's good. It's fun. You're here. It's great. I love it. Shh, don't tell anyone, but imaginal techniques are just elegant bait and switches that show you you're God. Oh, don't tell anyone, though. Don't tell anyone that all this manifestation stuff and getting everything you've ever wanted and having all your dreams come true is just a trick to show you that you're God. Don't tell anyone. Don't let the secret out. They think this is all about manifestation. They think this is about getting cars and stuff. Shh. You're allowed to have the cars, by the way. I don't know how long there'll be cars. Maybe they're Teslas and shit. Dreams love being written down. So why don't you go ahead and do that? Write your shit down. Script it out. Write it down. Write out your shit. Write out exactly what you'd like to be experiencing. Write out, I am this. I am that. Write out, how did this happen? When did I do that? When did I become the most successful person? When did I find the person of my dreams? When did I start living the best possible version of my life that I could ever live? Write this shit down. I'm physically pen and paper. Get a fucking pen and paper. You can do it in your phone, I guess. You can do it on a computer, I guess. You can even say it into a microphone, I guess. Write it down. Write it down. That's for me too. Naps are great. Take more of them. You do a lot of work when you're napping. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're fucking great. Don't nap to escape things, but nap to do work. So that's when you can do work. I like to do my work when I'm napping. Out here, I like to play. Everyone is playing a role. Don't condemn them for it. Okay, don't fucking condemn people for playing a doofusy role. They chose that. Maybe you're binding them to it by condemning them, which you're ultimately condemning yourself because they are you. Don't do it. Don't do it. They're just playing a role. Are you writing that role for them? You hate Donald Trump so much. You think he's the worst person ever. Are you writing that role? You're bound to him now in that way? Lame. Don't do it. You keep using Trump because he's so acute. On my Twitter feed every day, I see how mad they are at this dude. What are you doing? And I see the same shit they see that they get mad about. It's just like, really? Really? And all these people now who like hated Joe Biden because they were Bernie people have to like Joe Biden. Like, isn't it exhausting having to switch sides all the time? How about you just realize you're on everyone's side and they're just playing roles? It's no big deal. Isn't it exhausting switching? Oh, now I have to hate this person because they did that. Or I have to do this because they did this. Where's that logic going to get you? Okay. We're just reality jousting. That's what people are doing until they figure this out. They're forcing and fighting. And it's like two guys on a horse coming at each other with the big jousting poles, and they're slamming into each other, and the best one's going to win. How about we just jump into the reality where everything is great? Is that cool? It doesn't mean pain and suffering don't exist. I remember the title of this episode, wherever I called it. They exist, but everything is great. It's perfect. Doesn't mean we can constantly be striving in linear time to work towards a more elegant, pristine, beautiful version. Beautiful, elegant, pristine doesn't mean only pleasant looking things. Death is a part of this world, but we can change this. If we could start treating the elderly better, if we could start treating the sick better, if we could start showing people how to heal themselves, tackling ridiculous problems like homelessness, food shortages, just dumbass shit, right? And I mean dumbass shit like it's perfect. It exists to show us that we can transcend it, but like we can do this stuff. And if you're one of the people who sees that stuff out in the world and is inspired to take action, go ahead and do it. But don't complain about it if you're not doing anything about it. It's so lame. It's like a person in a meeting trying to solve an important problem. It's like, well, this is the problem. This is the problem. And they're like, what's the solution? Do you have any ideas? Like, I don't know, but this is the problem. Look how bad the system is. It's so broken. Here's what's going on. You want to talk about global macro systems? They're not going to blow up the way you hope. They're not going to fucking turn. There's not going to be a fucking revolution and fucking everyone's. No one wants that. What's going to happen is these systems that are really efficient at making money, just that's what they're good at. They don't know that they're at the expense of other people. They're systems that have been created. Sure, people created them, but then they started running themselves. You shift them towards better, elegant solutions. You see this with the virus. People were able to get their shit together pretty fucking fast to mitigate aspects of what was going on. That's all. Shift the systems to more productive people. You know what people who work at Monsanto want to do? Why do I say that name so hard? Monsanto? I don't know. They don't want to be fucking raping and pillaging the earth. You may think they do. What they want is money. What they want is some advantage in the marketplace. If you can convince these big global corporations or even individuals to shift their priorities, not to being the best, to serve some falsified ego delusion. I don't want to say ego. Some version of themselves that is lonely and hurt and scared and thinks it has to dominate this doofusy unconscious divine masculine energy. If you can shift them towards working for the betterment of the planet and for the people, the systems will be amazing. So we're doing that. This money shit, people are getting direct deposits deposited in and shit and loans and do all that. Maybe I'll do an episode for patrons about like business loans and all the stuff I've been doing. We can get into that. And with that, the first mention of Patreon, we'll end this episode. Sign up for the Patreon if you want the bonus episodes like you got in the beginning of this week. The next live reading is 420. We'll be smoking some weed live on air, answering some questions. Maybe we'll start doing some Zoom stuff so we can all congregate and see each other and speak to each other. That sounds fun. Maybe we can do that, patrons. Patreon.com/synchronicity. Sign up for stuff. I don't know. The mail list is good stuff. Mail list. Jesus Christ, no. What is going on? The email list. Everything's on the website, syncpodcast.com, SYNC. Big thanks to all of my friends who are the coolest. You're my friend, so that means you're the coolest. We're going to have an episode next week. Guest? I don't know. Maybe a guest. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. All right. That's it for this week. Happy imagining. Bye-bye.